and this is Shiva Kumar, and we are going to discussing now the methods of the statement interface. It's nothing but an how to submit the queries to database. The statement interface mainly providing the three methods. One is execute, update. Second one is execute query, and third one is execute. So these are the three methods are provided by the statement interface for submitting the different type of queries to the database. These are the only three methods are available in statements are. Not only three methods, we have the so many methods inside this interface. So we are discussing how to submit the generally queries to database. For submission of that queries to database, mainly these three methods we are going to using. And now we will discuss the one by one method. And first we are going to discussing about the execute update. This is the prototype of method. See the prototype, it's a public method and non-static method. The return type of the method is integer value and the name of the method is execute update, and this method always takes an argument. That argument is your query. The query must be in the form of string format only. Which type of queries we can place here, sir? Are the DDL commands or DML commands? You can also call as other than select command or non-selecting queries. And whenever you are calling this method, it always throws an exception also. That exception is SQL exception. It is a checked exception, compulsory to handle it or to catch it. This is the prototype of execute update method. And now see the method working. The DDL and DML commands is nothing but an non-selecting queries. Other than select command, any command you can specify or any command you can mention here. DDL commands generally we have the 5 commands: create command, alter command, drop, rename and truncate. Yes, allows this one. And DML commands, basically we have the 3 types of DML commands. One is the insert command, update command, delete command. So come from DDL category 5 commands, from DML category 3 commands. The total 8 commands we can place here, but select is not allows here. If I want to submit the select command to database, what to do, sir? For that you have the separate method also, execute query is available. Execute update for non-selecting queries and execute query for this one. So first we will see the execute update, then we will discuss about the execute query operations. What this method is doing, sir? What are the query you mentioned here or what are the query you are specified here? That query, this method is going to submitting to your databases from our Java application or from our Java program. So as per any programming language or especially our Java language, whatever it may be, this is one program or one application, and here we have the database, the 2 different places and the 2 different softwares also. So we want to transfer some data from this place to this place. Is it possible, sir? Yes, we can transfer the data or we can pass the data from any place to any place. How? By using methods only. Methods are the transporters. They are transporting or they are carry forwarding the values from one program to another program or one application to another application. So we want to store some data in this database, or we want to update some data in the database, or we want to delete some data in the database. Overall in all the cases data is common thing. Then which data we want to pass it and what type of operations you want to perform it. First if you decide that, then we can use this one, then you can supply to the database. So this method is supplying your query and data both to this database. So this is passing of the call. The call, what it contains, sir? It contains internally data and also your query. A Java application is passing the call to database, and every call is internally contains some values and also one query minimum. So the query is deciding which task you want to perform, and this one is deciding this task on which data you want to perform this data. This is the task and this is the task performing on the data. So where we have to specify all these things are, these all the things you should specify here in string format, don't forget that. So after supplying the query, database is receiving and it is processing that query, and they are sending a confirmation value back to your Java application also. That value in which format they are passing, sir? Integer format. The Java programmer is sending the query plus data to database, and database is sending some value to again to Java application or Java programmer, and that value is integer value. Why this integer value only it is sending, sir? This is the result of this query. When you are executing this query, some records are affected in the database. How many records are affected by your supplied query? The count is always sent by the database to your Java application. That count comes in the form of an integer value. So query received the database, query is going to processing in the database. After that, the query is going to executing. So when the execution is completed, we will get some resultant value, that is called as output. Now database, what it is doing, sir? This resultant value they are sending back to your Java application. In which format they are sending back, sir? In integer format. That all the values is come back to the Java application in the form of integer. That is the return type of the execute update method. So supply the query to database, database is receiving your query, processing your query and producing some result. The resultant value is sending back to the your Java application. This is the communication operation. So if you want to perform this communication operation, you should implement a proper statement by using this execute update. So what is the statement, sir? The statement comes like this: st. This st, assume it is an object of the statement interface, that is the st. st dot your method name execute update, followed by specify some query within the double quotations. This is the statement implementation. st dot execute update followed by delete our basic table employee where id equals to 10. So this is query, the 10 is the data. So what we discussed here, query plus data, both is specified here. And now this query is given to the execute update. Execute update, what it is doing, sir? Supplying to your already connected database. Database is received the query, executed. After that, it's sending the result back to your Java application. So what is the result is sent by the database here, sir? We are trying to perform deleting this data from employee table. Delete employee where id equals to 10. What happens, sir? This command is executed successfully, the 10th employee data is removed. If any problem is available, sir, command is failure. If command executed successfully, 10th employee record is going to removed. Means one record minimum it is going to affecting. That one record means one count is getting as a resultant value to your Java application. So if you want to receive that one, before this statement, add a small variable here int c equals to something. The return value of this method or what are the data sent by the database, that value comes and stores into this variable. Now what is the value of c, sir? That depends upon this query operations. Sometimes the value of c is 0 or sometimes the value of c is the positive number also. No need compulsory one only getting, sir, no guarantee about that. Sometimes 1, sometimes 10, sometimes 20 also. That is I am saying. The value of this c is either 0 or the value of this c is either positive value. Value of c is 0, sir, means the query is not processed successfully. Why it is not processed successfully, sir? Maybe the reason is the corresponding data not found in the database. So which employee ID you are trying to remove it here, that employee ID is not available in the database. So that cases the database is returns the 0. If query is successfully applied or executed on the database, sir, you will get compulsory some positive number. The positive number is minimum 1, maximum n also. 1 to your integer highest range value will get it. If query is having any syntactical mistakes, sir, yes, for that also we have an option that is called as SQL exception. The query is not designed properly, or the column name is wrong, or the table name is wrong, or where condition is not implemented properly. For all these things, the resultant is SQL exception. So, from the same method, you have the chance to get an exception also. That exception is SQL exception. Execute update method is going to sending back to your Java application the three types of values, either neutral value 0, either positive value or exception. 0 is coming back to our application, query is not success or unsuccess. If value is coming positively, sir, query is success. If SQL exception is comes, sir, some syntactical mistakes or some table name problem or column name problems are available. So, this SQL exception generally we are going to handling by using the catch blocks. So, we do not need to bother about this one, and the balance two values are that one, positive and 0. This is delete query operations. And what about other queries are? Almost all the queries are working like this only. The only change is returning values are going to changing. Every query 0 returning, every query positive value returning are not happens here. So, depends upon the type of query, the returning values are going to changing. Which type of query, which values is going to returning, sir? I will give that clarity also. First, I explain the process based on the one particular query. And now we will see the overall explanation belongs to all the queries also. Before that, see the conclusion of this one. Statement interface reference come object, and it is providing a method execute update. Execute update method is taking one query as a parameter, and this query is submitted to database. Database is processing the query and they are sending the result back to your application. The return result from the database we are going to catching into one count variable here. That value is either 0 or positive value. Now, the same point I want to apply to all types of queries. Depends upon the type of query, returning value is going to changing. Meaning, sir, for example, comes to here DDL commands and DML commands. Basically, two types of commands are available. While processing of the DDL commands, the execute update method or databases is returns only 0. We are not getting any positive value. When DDL commands are going to returns the 0, sir, if query is going to processing successfully. If query is unsuccess or query is failure, you will get simply the result SQL exception. So, when we will get this exception? If query is unsuccess, means successfully not processed, or you have any errors in the query, in both cases this exception is comes. So, compared to here delete command, I said here positive value is coming, but in DDL commands if you observe that one, that positive value is not available. In delete command positive value is available. That is, I said, depends upon the type of query, returning value is going to changing. Here 0 is there, positive value is there, but here only 0 is there, positive value is not available. Is there any specific reason, sir? A simple reason, when you are trying to execute the delete commands, generally records are not affecting. Reasons are, DDL commands are data related commands or object related commands are object level commands, in the sense table level commands, not the data level commands. And DML commands are the data level commands, not object level commands. That is why we are calling it a data manipulation. It is not belongs to structurals. And this ones are data definition, where the data is going to storing, the memory blocks we are going to defining here, that memory blocks we are going to managing here. So, these are the database object level queries and these are the database data level queries. Object level queries, no records are going to affecting. Examples are, I am going to writing a small query here, drop table EMP. What is the meaning of this, sir? I am trying to remove the employee table. but I am not trying to remove any employee data. Generally, whenever you are going to destroying the table, internally records also going on, but officially we are not designing the query for removing the employee records. So, based on this query, how many employee records are affected, sir? No records are going to affected directly. But based on this query, what happens, sir? Employee table is successfully removed from the database, but number of records are affected, nothing. That's why it is going to return the 0 in success. Table dropped, but records are not affected anything directly. Indirectly affected of course, but directly not affected. Similarly, when you are going to using the create table command also, if you write the create table employee followed by something, what happens, sir? A table is constructed in the table database. How many records is affected, sir? No records are affected, but table is created. The table creation is nothing but an memory allocations. And in that memory, is there any data, sir? No data. So, table created successfully, but records are not affected anything. Means here also number of records are affected is 0 only. Like that, all the DDL commands are directly not influencing on the records, are directly not providing any effect on the your data. All these commands are working on the structures of the databases only. So, our database and as well as our method, always they returns a 0 in success case. Unsuccess case or errors case, any case, you will get the resultant value SQL exception only. This is the nature of DDL commands.